All right. Good. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Can we like to call this meeting to order? Can we have roll call, please, Mr. Karati?
Sure. Mr. Accomando? Ms. Ainello?
Here.
Mr. Laurentino?
Present.
Ms. Mahoney?
Here.
Mr. Quinn?
Here.
Ms. Robinson?
Here.
Ms. Roloff? Mr. Shearer?
Here.
Ms. Zottarelli?
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all members of the Board of Education and to the Bergen Record in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, 1975. At this time, please make sure your audio is turned off, your cell phones are muted or vibrate. The board will acknowledge and unmute the public if they choose to speak during public participation. Okay, do we have a superintendent's report tonight?
I'll do one very quickly. First of all, a huge thank you to Dr. Stacy Fanning, who just hosted a COVID-19 vaccine Q&A virtually with our school community. She did a fabulous job. I feel a lot more intelligent after that, so I really appreciate her hosting it with our school community. Also, our wellness fair, our community wellness event, was scheduled for this Thursday. It will be rescheduled because we are due to have rain Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So to be on the safe side, because it's outside on the football fields, it'll be rescheduled for next week, and that notification will go out tomorrow. And also at Wednesday's Board of Ed meeting, we will have some student representatives here to share the good news. So I was excited about that.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Karati, do you have a business administrator report tonight?
Some of my items are during the agenda, so I guess I'll do them at that during those points.
Okay. Okay, then let's go to the agenda. Okay, first is board action items, B123, which is a revision, and then B2122.4 to .7. Any discussion or questions on the board action items?
Through the chair.
Yes.
I was just wondering if someone could explain the statement of assurance regarding the use of paraprofessional staff.
Yes, so it's a requirement every year for us to complete, and I don't have it on me right now, but you're assuring that there are job descriptions for your paras and a certain amount of training has been scheduled for them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else, any questions on the board action? Okay. Moving on to education and curriculum, we have E2122.8 through .11. Any questions on those items?
Through the chair, on E2122.11, the Italy trip, we did confirm that that is only for students in the school, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else, any questions?
Just real quick, where do we stand in terms of insurance and things like that? We're going to require them because if the trip doesn't go off, are they going to have it get their money back, or they understand that we're still in somewhat of a pandemic here?
Yes. So
Go ahead.
Go
No. Go ahead.
Struggling to turn the mic on.
they were strongly encouraged to purchase the insurance through that company as well. I just wanted to comment the reason why I was so eager is there is a waiver that we are putting together for the parents that are attending the trip with their children. So that's going to be explained. I'll explain it. I just received it today, so I will send out something to the board explaining a little bit more about it.
Has the laws changed to protect our parents? Because when this happened, when the pandemic hit with the 8th grade trip, some parents took the insurance and they were refunded over a course of a year. And if the parents weren't willing to take that course of the year of payback, they weren't going to get their money back because there was nothing in the contract that prevented, because there was no such thing as a pandemic at that time. So has things changed legally?
So I'm not familiar with the insurance policy to date. We are prepared to go into that a bit more detail, as well as some of the waiver issues that the superintendent just addressed. We're going to do that in closed session because it's an attorney-client privilege communication. Because we can't go into closed session today to discuss all these matters as planned, we'll do it on Thursday.
Very good. All right. Thank you.
I'll make sure that if I'm here, or if it's your usual attorney, if it's Matt, that he's prepared to address that with you.
Very good. Thank you.
We could do it tonight.
Oh, yeah, you can do that part.
Because that's the
Okay. 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 All right. Let's go on to, or sorry, anybody else questions on any of that in education and curriculum?
I have another. Are the elementary schools allowed to go on trips and just not requesting it? Because I personally have a problem approving the trip to Italy when we won't let kids go pumpkin picking.
The trip to Italy is for 2023. They have not been approved yet, but that's still on the table. So as of right now, we asked them to hold off and let's kind of wait and see. And they may very well be on for the spring. Most grades don't usually take their field trips until the spring anyway. Our concern right now is combining all the grade levels on a bus to go on a field trip and then being indoors at another location. So we decided, the pandemic response team met, we decided to hold off for right now to be revisited.
Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any other questions? Okay, moving on to finance, budget, and facilities. We have F2122.8 and 9, which are revisions, and then we have 2122, 11 through 16. Any questions on those items?
I'm going to discuss 15 and 16 now.
Okay.
If there's no other questions on the other items. So for 15, the Title I audit, if you remember me saying previous meetings, Saddlebrook, I think, was in the lottery. We were getting audits left and right. Well, here's two of them that are all completed. So the Title I audit was for the 2018-19 school year. And just before I get into the report, just by comparison, the total district budget for 18-19 was $37.9 million. The annual audit covers all of this, and the audit takes about roughly 3 to 4 weeks. For those districts that have gone through a Title I audit, and I did years ago, they spend about as much time auditing, which we received that year, $323,000, or 0.85% of the total district budget. And I said they go through everything. They make sure every I is dotted and every T is crossed. And I said they spend weeks, if not months, doing it. They started this a while ago. We just got the final report now. So there are 9, according to this report. We have to publicly review and discuss the findings in this report at a public meeting, which will be tonight. And we'll accept the report on Wednesday. And then no later than 30 days after receive the report. Well, that's where we do that. And then 30 days after the public meeting, the board must adopt a resolution certifying the findings were discussed at the meeting, approving a corrective action plan, which we'll do at the October board meeting. So if you just bear with me for a few minutes, I'll try to go through this. There were 9 findings and recommendations. The board has received a copy of this. It's linked up to the agenda. So the first item was adequate documentation was not provided, demonstrating that cost charged to the Title I Part A program was reasonable and necessary. There were some items that were charged to the grant towards the end of the year. For one school, it was roughly $2,000. We're able to justify some of that amount. So what they did, and I guess I'm kind of thanking them for doing this, they did a calculation and we owe back to the federal government $986, $985.43, because it fully couldn't have been documented. So basically we moved funds that were charged to the general budget to the title funds. We were able to support most of the funds. The other schools, there's 3 schools are involved in Title Title I, and it says all of them were justified except for this small amount in one school. And it says they did the calculation, and we have to owe back $985.43. Finding number 2 is expenditures were incorrectly recorded on the benefits line item. This one, due to the actual pension costs, which we get towards the end of the year, there were not enough funds left in the title grant to support the pension, FICA, and health benefit costs. So the district's auditors also, we discovered this in the 18-19 year, and the difference was charged to general fund. They just didn't like how it was charged out there, so they wrote up the finding for that one. Number 3 is a Title I funded personnel did not prepare detailed time and activity reports in a manner consistent with requirements of the Uniform Grant Guidance and Department Guidelines. They're looking for some additional information on these time and activity reports. The time and activity reports are submitted by the teachers. In our personnel agenda items, P2122.22, you can see every year we list the staff that's getting charged to the Title I or any federal grant. You have to list how much the base salary is, how much is getting charged to the local budget, how much is getting charged to the title grant. So we always do that. The teachers, the staff are always putting in the time and activity reports. However, they're looking for a little bit more information on there on the funding part. So it's not something major, but again, they have to write that one down. Number 4, various district policies, right? Internal controls were not provided. So we had a lot they asked for, I don't even remember how many, but a lot of district policies were missing a few, or we had to get them, some of the wording changed. So we'll be working on these, getting them board approved and meeting their requirements. Number 5, the district failed to adhere to New Jersey public school contracts law and the federal regulations when procuring, reading, and writing programs. This one, I fought them on, but as you can see, it's listed in the report here, so I lost that fight. We had only one vendor to purchase these items for, because in previous years, that's who the materials were bought. I'm sure Ms. Violetta could explain more about that, but it was a vendor we were buying the materials from, so we had to continue with them. They just didn't like that we didn't get other quotes, and they didn't like the rationale I provided to them. So, in the future, we're going to have to get something from some other vendor too to support that. Again, that's nothing that major. Number 6, certain records were not maintained in accordance with the departmental and federal guidelines. Here they want the budget accounts detailed by school. If you can see on that personnel item, there's 5 teachers roughly in a given year, and we have it in one salary line. They're looking for the salary lines to be broken out. We do it for supplies for the schools, but they're looking for the actual staffing to be broken out by school. We will do that. That's fairly simple to do. And this year, because we got reduced funding in Title I, the 21-22 year, there's only one teacher charge there, so that should be pretty easy to do. Number 7, appropriations recorded by the district for the Title I SIA funds were not consistent with SEA approved budget. So what happened here was we received back in 18-19 the allocation for SIA funding, which is different than the Title I A funds. We got it late in the year, and by the time we built or decided what we were going to use the funds for, it was too late in the year, and we're just going to roll over the funds into the subsequent year. So I didn't set up the budget account, and they weren't happy about that. 8, the district was unable to demonstrate that certain ESEA programmatic requirements were satisfied. We did not have, so for this one, we didn't have enough documentation for the annual Title I meeting held with the parents, so there's more we need to do with that and getting the documentation out. Actually, Ms. Viley just asked me for some information yesterday or today, and we're going to be going through that, and we'll get that corrected and give them the required information they need to meet this requirement. And number 9, the district did not provide evidence of consultation with non-public school officials. Saddlebrook, we lack the documentation for searching and consulting with non-public schools. Saddlebrook only has, well, according to the state, one non-public school, Nursery Rhymes, that receives some small state funding. However, part of this requirement is to search out non-public schools in a radius around Saddlebrook. I don't know if there's exact miles in there. So really what we have to do is to go with, consult with all the schools And what we'll do is we'll follow the transportation students that we have attending non-public schools, and we'll have to just consult with those districts to see if they're interested in any Title I funding. Most of the time, non-public schools do not take this funding because, as you can see, there's too many requirements and it's such a little bit of funds that they receive. It's just not worth the time. But anyway, just there's more documentation to do there. And once we get our curriculum person up and running, this will be, I guess, something that they'll be doing, I hope. And that concludes that one. Any questions on that report before I get to the next one, which is a little better?
Yeah, through the chair, just based on what you just said, how are we supposed to know what the boundaries are? What if you do 2 in the area? Is that going to be enough? Is it not?
I said I have to review their uniform grant guidance, and I don't remember if they have a certain mileage, but you have to do your due diligence and search them out. So one we have, I said, is the transportation. We have, quite a bit of schools, so I think that would satisfy that. Then you have to send them letters. You have to meeting with them, send them letters. You get the if they want the funds or refuse it, then you have to upload those refusal funds to letters to the website. It's a whole big process for, like I said, a little bit of money.
If I may, a piece of that also is you look at where Saddlebrook students are going out of district. So that's with the transportation, and that's what I did this past year as director. As I reached out to those private schools, they returned a refusal form, and we went through that whole process.
Thank you.
So good, one down.
So we're already on it.
So yeah, you'll see the corrective action. There's a form. We'll write them all up and get that approved in October, and I'll send them all the information that they are requesting. The next one, 16, the procurement review. This was a food service review. It's how we, the district and also Pomptonian, how they, procure their, supplies and equipment and so forth. So they audited both us and Pomptonian's records. And I'm happy to report that there's no findings in this. They went through all the purchases that we made, whether they were small, what they considered a small or micro purchase, and also if there were any larger ones, how we processed the contract and so forth. So again, the board has that report, but there's no corrective action for this one. And that one's a good one. And I think that concludes those items. Yes.
Okay. All right. Any other questions on any of that? Okay. We don't have any policies or negotiations to report on tonight or discuss tonight. Next is personnel. And it's P 21-22-16 through 25. Any questions or discussion?
Not really. Just as the board could see, we're trying to change the format around a little bit. So you see them personnel items in groups, about, appointments, resignations, so forth, just so they won't be written out like, it should be a little more maybe clearer, easier to follow.
Mhm.
We'll try it.
I like it.
Okay.
I thought we had said at one point that we were going to put ID numbers and not the actual employee. So how come I'm seeing employees' names now?
Only for, I believe that was only for like medical leaves and
Okay.
items like that, not for their appointments.
Through the chair. Just out of curiosity, when was the last time we actually offered the human geography class?
That was a new course. The course proposal for that was approved at a meeting last school year.
This is the first, okay.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking, but excellent. I'm glad to see it going.
Thank you.
Through the chair. On P 212223, 8, 9, and 10 are 3 competition cheerleading coaches. We put the 3rd coach in place when we had a freshman team. Is there still a need for that?
I will need to check for you that. I don't know.
Steve, you must remember
I did not
that.
hear the question. Sorry. Can you speak up when you talk, Sylvia? I didn't hear what you
You
said.
can't hear me? I'm louder.
That's not usually a problem, I know.
Her question was that we put in a third one when there was a possible freshman team, but now there's still 3. Is there a freshman team, or why the need for 3 competition cheer coaches?
Thank you.
Do you recall if the titles were the same, head assistant, co-assistant? Did they change that maybe?
No, it was the same.
Okay. I'll look into it.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. That's the agenda items. Do we have any committee reports this evening? We are talking about a committee meeting next week, right, Mr. Crowdy?
Yes, we're right now, it looks like September 29th. I'm just trying to work out the times. There'll be a policy meeting and then a budget finance facility committee meeting.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have a committee report of any kind tonight?
I'll have a PTA Wednesday.
Okay. Do we have any correspondence?
I'll have Foundation Wednesday too.
Okay. Old business. Okay. We have new business. So Mr. Crowdy and Ms. Violetti sent an email about changing the October 11th board meeting to just Wednesday, doing the caucus a little early, meeting if we need to for close, and then doing the regular meeting. Does anybody have any issue with that? Okay, so we'll cancel that and do that. Okay, I think at this time,
Wait, I have something under
oh.
new business.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Through the chair. I work in a different school district than I know a lot of other people on here do. And the elementary school kids I'm going to focus on, they don't wear masks outside for recess. Why are our kids wearing masks outside for recess?
It's not mandated for them to wear masks outside for
Okay,
recess.
well, I don't think the staff is aware of that because these kids are wearing masks, and I understand it's an optional if they want to wear them, but I think they need to be told that if they want to take them off, they can.
If they're socially distant outside, yes.
Okay. Anybody else, anything for new business? Okay, then can I get a motion to open the meeting for public comment?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Would anyone like to address the board tonight? Okay, seeing none. Okay, can I have a motion to close the meeting for public
Motion.
comment?
Second.
Okay, are we going, okay. Okay, so we do not need to go into closed session tonight. So I guess that is it. Can I get a motion to close the meeting or adjourn the meeting?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We'll see you Wednesday at 7 p.m.